What's happening, YouTube? It's Simon466cards, and today we're going to talk about the right time to sell your cards if you're looking to maximize your sales and return when you sell them. On your screen is an Instagram post by GemRate, and he's been doing some really cool stuff over the last little while, so give him a follow on Instagram if you haven't already. Shout out to Ryan. What he's posted here is a comparison of eBay sales from June to July to see the biggest increases and decreases by player. And what I'm showing on the screen is the biggest decrease in sales by player from June to July. And so I'm going to go through some players on this list because I think it really shows and gives guidance as to when we should be selling cards to maximize our sales. I'm going to skip over soccer because I don't know anything about soccer. I'm going to go straight to basketball. First on this list is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. If you have been living under a rock, he won the NBA Finals MVP, he won the finals, and he was also named a regular season MVP. The finals ended in late June, June 22nd, and so you would think that after that big accomplishment, his sales would have gone up in July. That is wrong. You can see here in July, he had a $666,000 increase in his card sales on eBay after an increase of $422,000 in June. Even though June 22nd, towards the end of June, is when he won the championship. He has reached the mountaintop. He has accomplished, had like three of the biggest things that you could accomplish in basketball with the title, the regular season MVP, and the finals MVP. And in the month afterwards, his sales fell off a cliff. So that might be a little bit confusing to you, especially if you are not a veteran of the card game. Next up in terms of basketball is Tyrese Halliburton. He tore his Achilles, so we're going to give this a pass. He's out for another year, even though he lost in the finals. We're going to give this a pass. Next up is Jalen Williams. He also of the OKC Thunder. He had a $208,000 decrease in his sales on eBay in July after a $206,000 increase in June. So basically, after he won the championship, his July sales have matched his May sales before he won the title. Again, a little confusing if you're expecting an increase in sales after he won the championship. All right, let's keep scrolling down here. Basketball, Cooper Flagg, a $77,000 decrease in July after a $328,000 increase in June. He, of course, was the first overall pick in the NBA draft, which happened June 25th, June 26th. And again, you would think that something like being drafted first overall would lead to an increase in his sales. But no, it was a decrease in his sales. And this is going to be a recurring theme as we move on to different sports. But to recap, SGA won a title, won a championship, won an MVP, and won a regular season MVP. In the following month, sales fell off a cliff. Jalen Williams won a title, sales fell off a cliff. Cooper Flagg, selected first overall in the NBA draft, had a big decrease in sales. Okay. Now, let's move to baseball. Highest on this list is Jack Caglione. Hope I'm saying that right. He had a $728,000 decrease in sales in July after a $443,000 increase in June. What happened in June? Well, he was promoted on June the 2nd. He was promoted on June the 2nd to the majors. All right. Next up on this list, Roman Anthony. Roman Anthony had a $375,000 increase in June, followed by a $283,000 decrease in July. What happened to Roman Anthony? Well, Roman Anthony made the majors June the 9th. Do you see a pattern here? Let's see what's after that. Chase Burns. Chase Burns increased in sales on eBay, $261,000 in June. July, $197,000 decrease. Chase Burns. Do you have a guess? Yeah, that's right. On June 24th, he was promoted to the big leagues for the first time. Next on this list is some guy named Christian Moore. I will be honest, I am not familiar with Christian Moore's work, but a $89,000 increase in June, followed by an $83,000 decrease in July. Yes, you guessed it. On June 13th, Christian Moore was promoted to the major leagues for the first time. And finally, Marcelo Meyer, $83,000 decrease in July. And of course, he made it to the majors on May 24th, so at the end of May. And so this is a very, very long-winded way of saying that sure seems like if you want to maximize your sales on baseball prospects, you should sell them before or right at the time that they make the majors, because it's all downhill from there. Okay? Or at least downhill for a significant amount of time. You might have to wait till the next season, because these numbers are pretty big numbers. Now, the one I have not talked about is Connor McDavid. You can see here he increased in June $185,000, and then in July he decreased by $250,000. And so he lost in the Stanley Cup Finals for the second year in a row. And so you could say, well, his value decreased because he lost in the finals. He didn't win the Stanley Cup. I'm here to posit that regardless of whether or not Connor McDavid won or lost the Stanley Cup Finals, he would have appeared on this list, because Shea won the title, he won the MVP, he won the regular season MVP and the playoff MVP, and he's on this list. Jalen Williams won the title, he is on this list. So Connor McDavid, you are also going to be on this list regardless of whether you won or lost. That is my statement, my prediction, my theory. And so we're talking about titles, we're talking about MVPs, we're talking about being selected first overall, we're talking about making the majors for the first time. All of these are really big accomplishments in a player's career. And yet, after all of these major accomplishments, eBay sales, card sales of these players decrease. And why is that? And so I know Neo Cards and Comics, shout out to him, friend of the channel, has said recently that this is because people hold on to their cards and they wait till the thing happens. Win the title, win the MVP, whatever it is, and then they flood the market, oversupply, oversaturate the market after that thing has happened, and so that's why prices crash. Well, I disagree with that theory, and with all due respect to Neo, because if people were flooding the market after the title win, after moving into the majors, being called up to the majors, sure, the per card price would decrease, right? Your Silver Prism SGA would decrease. But if you're flooding the market, then that means the decrease in the card price should be more than offset by the quantity of sales happening, right? So if, let's say, the SGA Silver Prism goes down by 10%, but if you're flooding the market and you're selling like 30% more of the Silver Prisms, well, then the increase in quantity should offset the decrease in the price if the market is being flooded with these cards. But these numbers clearly show, no, that is not happening. The market is not being flooded with SGA cards after you win the title. The card market is not being flooded by Roman Anthony cards now that he has made the majors and is playing quite decently. I actually don't think that is the case. I'm now going to give you two scenarios. You are a person who likes to participate in the sports card hobby. What sounds more fun to you? Buying a player buying a player's cards and holding them for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and waiting until he does the thing. Let's say it's an SGA card. You were the guy that knew, I bought this rookie card in 2023, 2024, 2021, 2019, whatever it is. Maybe even January of 2025. And you get to hold it and say, this card that I hold, I knew it. I knew all along that he would become the guy. He is going to win a title. He's going to win an MVP. He's going to be the finals MVP. And I have been along for that ride. I've been along for that journey. And so I will sell it when he has accomplished all those things, because I've been along for the ride, and then I will sell it for profit because he is now a much more accomplished player. He has now reached another level. in the NBA by accomplishing these things. And then same thing for Roman Anthony. I knew he was going to be great when he was in the minors, when he was, in single A, double A, whatever it is. And now he's reached the majors. I've been along for the ride. He's now the number one prospect in baseball. It's time for me to sell this card and reap my rewards for believing in him and being able to predict the future and knowing that Roman Anthony was going to be great. And then you could do this exact same story down the line. So that is scenario A. You are this person that bought a card before a player accomplished the thing, whatever the thing may be. That's scenario A. Here's scenario B. SGA won the title. I'm going to go buy his card in July after he won the title. And then I'm going to hold it in the offseason. And, he's a great player. That's when I buy his card. Now that he's accomplished winning the title, winning the MVP, winning the finals MVP. He has now reached another level of notoriety and prestige in NBA history. And so now I'll buy his card in July, after he has won the title, after he has done the parade and the whole shebang after winning a title. Which of those two things sounds more appealing to you as a person? Which of those two things sounds more fun? I would say the first one is by far more fun because you're along for the ride. You get to be part of the journey of this player. Whereas buying the card after the fact, after he's won the title, there's no fun in that. There's no, aha, I knew it all along. I told you so. I'm smarter than all of you. There's none of that when you buy a card after the thing happens, whether it's being called to the majors or winning a title, whatever it may be. And so to me, that's actually why card prices and card sales both fall off a cliff. Because if the increase was due to the decrease was due to just card prices falling, but it's because of oversaturation, oversupply of the market, well then SGA wouldn't appear on this list, right? If you're flooding the market with cards, then there should be a ton of sales happening. But that's not what's happening here. That is not what's happening here. And so my theory is it's just more fun to hold cards of players before they reach the mountaintop. They accomplish whatever the thing is that they want to accomplish. And it's more fun to do that than to buy it after they do the thing, whatever that thing may be. And so that is my theory. And here is some more evidence to that theory. Here are the same numbers focused only on football. The players who have increased the most from June to July for the card sales on eBay. Very similar to the post I showed you last, but this time it's for biggest increases, football only. And you can see it is literally every single big name in the NFL. Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jamar Chase, even Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Tua. These are all of the big quarterback names, and then like Jamar Chase is obviously a big receiver name. These are the who's who, basically, of NFL sports cards, like hobby favorites. And yet, I'm here to tell you, this is not a surprise. And the proof is from videos I did 2 years ago, and I'm going to share it. It was based off of this spreadsheet. And what I did is I tracked Prism Silver PSA 10s and Prism Base PSA 10s, depending on the year and the card. And I compared for all 32 quarterbacks in the NFL to see what those prices were in September at the beginning of the season to what those prices were in October, November, December, January, February, to see the change from then to the start of the year, or from the start of the year to that month. And you could see it is a sea of sadness, a red sea of sadness. And by the time the end of the regular season rolled around, there were all of one player actually, who was significantly higher. It's Brock Purdy. The other ones were Tua up 10%, Kyler Murray, who I believe didn't even play until the very end of the season, 3%. Dak Prescott up 10%. And by January, the end of January, which is basically the Super Bowl, the only players that were up anything were Lamar Jackson, Jordan Love, and Brock Purdy. And I believe this is the year that Brock Purdy made the Super Bowl. And so you can't get to this sea of red without a big increase before the season happens. All right, this is the thing that leads to this thing. And to me, it is the same reason as what I talked about with the SGA cards, the Roman Anthony cards. People are buying these cards preseason so that they can be along for the ride for the season. They think that, I believe Patrick Mahomes, I believe Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Penix, whoever it is, they're gonna have a great season. They're gonna win the regular season MVP. They're gonna be maybe make the playoffs, go on a deep run, maybe even win the Super Bowl. I'm gonna be along for that ride, and then it's because I know better than everybody else. I'm smarter than everybody. I'm smarter than all of you. I know what's gonna happen this NFL season, and so I'm gonna buy these cards to go along for that ride, and then at the end of the season, once they have accomplished the thing that I'm predicting that they're going to accomplish, I will sell these for profit, and that'll be my reward for being along for this ride, for believing in Mahomes, Burrow, Jackson, Allen, whoever. And yet, this is what it results in. Just sadness all around. You have an 85% chance of being sad, because it is actually a very bad idea to buy sports cards to bet on a season. Because if you truly do believe Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, they're going to have incredible seasons, just open up your sports betting app and bet over on whatever win total that player plays for. That is the actual way to profit if you have a hunch about a quarterback specifically, because they control so much of a team's fate. Don't do this. Don't buy any of these things, because you could be right and you could still get screwed. If these players play well, at least their teams should win. That is much more correlated with profitability than buying any of this stuff. Don't do any of this. And it's because everybody's buying cards so that they can be along for the ride and say, I was right. I knew it all along, you suckers. I knew that Lamar Jackson was going to win the MVP. I knew Lamar Jackson was going to go win the Super Bowl. And I have his cards to prove it, and I'm going to sell it when he does the thing. And yet, who is going to buy the card after Lamar Jackson wins the Super Bowl in 6 months? Well, this suggests nobody, because nobody wants to be the guy that buys the card after the championship happens, because there's no fun in that. You don't get to say, I predicted this, I knew this was going to happen. And so that's why I believe these numbers are what they are. That's why the biggest decline list is of players who have reached the mountaintop, who have reached a major milestone in their careers. It's because nobody wants to be the guy that buys it after the fact. Everybody wants to be the guy that buys it before it and then sells the card for profit. But then that in itself is like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because then it's actually impossible for that to happen, because so many people are thinking that way. And so if we wind this all back to the beginning of this video, where I talk about when is the right time to sell your sports cards to maximize your profit, there's a saying in the stock market. It's buy the rumor, sell the news. I think in sports cards it's buy before the rumor, sell before the news. Because so many people want to buy the theory, the hypothesis of whoever, and then sell the news, i.e. if and when that accomplishment happens. The theory, if it's buy the theory or buy the rumor, sell the news, the rumor is SGA is going to win the title. And then the news is SGA is going to win the title. So then what you really want to do is sell before that happens. You want to sell before he wins the title, not after. Don't even wait till he wins the title. Don't wait till June, whatever this is, where is it? June 22nd. Don't wait till June 22nd. Sell it in early to mid-June. That is the play. That is the play for anybody being called up to the majors. That is the play for being drafted first overall. That is the play for possibly winning the Stanley Cup. That is the play. Don't wait. Don't wait till the thing happens, either good or bad. Sell it beforehand. And it's because nobody wants to be the guy that buys the card after the thing happens. Everybody wants to be the guy that bought the card before the thing happens. Whatever that thing is, so that they can say, I knew it all along. I was right. Suckers. You guys aren't as smart as me. And you have to think about everybody else doing that so that you can sell it before that cycle hits. Would love to hear your thoughts and comments, and please put those in the comment section down below. Thank you as always for listening and watching. I'll talk to you all soon. Cheers.